Welcome to Mind Over Matter. The inner growth meets conscious living, and awareness becomes the foundation for real change. I'm your host, Anya, and today we are exploring a question that sits at the heart of personal and spiritual evolution. How do the five levels of development guide us through spiritual maturity? Not in theory, but in real life. My guest today is Louis Brantmeyer, a dating, relating, and matching coach who helps successful professional men create deeply fulfilling relationships through Make Love Easy, and a business mentor who supports heart-centered coaches and healers in scaling their work through Speak Powerfully Now. Lewis's journey is as compelling as his work. Once socially awkward, anxious, and introverted, a devoted science fiction fan with a deep love for Star Trek. He spent over a decade immersed in personal development, transforming into an international speaker, author, entrepreneur, and guide in both relationships and conscious success. Today's conversation looks at spiritual maturity not as an abstract ideal, but as a lived progression, one that shapes how we love, lead, communicate, and relate. So let's begin. Welcome to the show, Louis. It's just an honor to have you.
Thank you. An honor to be here.
Mhm. So, Louis, when we talk about the five levels leading towards spiritual maturity, what are these levels really describing in human experience?
It's a great question. So, everyone has experienced each of these levels, and it is something that once we distinguish them, we're able to see them everywhere and see when we slip into various versions of them. So, I'll just get into it. The first level is what we call disorientation. So, living from a pool of poison and pain called big and little t trauma, or reactivity, past based, depressive, hungering for what has happened to be a different way than it has. And this is often accompanied by an experience for someone in the moment of looking at their life and comparing their life conditions with a blueprint that has them experience it come up short. They want more money, more power, more success, more happiness, a better relationship, um, a better connection with God, whatever it is. And so living from level one looks like an experience of like hopelessness and powerlessness. And most of the world lives their life from level one because they don't see any other way. They just see, the hope for someone to save them. The medical industry, the political industry, we might call it. Um, and they're educated and trained to seek outside of themselves support, salvation, a magic pill, a savior, someone to rescue them through government handouts or tax benefits, social security. There's all kinds of different distinctions we could make around this. But the real solution to getting out of level one, and we can all fall back into moments of level one, is to say, hey, I am 100% responsible for everything that's happening in my life. If I've got it, it's there because of me. If it's something to do with health, something to do with finances, like a limitation on what's in one's bank account currently or in one's capacity for earning, then the belief that I'm responsible for it gives me power with it, power to shift from it to some other experience. Now, level two is goal oriented. And when I've been in disorientation from falling into a vice or being triggered, hijacked, dysregulated, I make it a goal to be a different way. And then I activate tools to shift my experience of myself. I was triggered with rage and frustration not more than 30 minutes or so before this call. So I sat down and I did what's called the vagus nerve reset. And what this involves is you simply bring awareness to your chest and then you uh, basically pet down your chest for about 3 minutes. And what happened was there was an emotional release, there was a relaxation of my nervous system, and then I became clear minded, clear headed, and available for focus on goal directed, achievable activities. So, sometimes it could be as much as like, or as little as I'm going to make my bed. That can take someone from level 1 to level 2 because it restores one's faith in one's capacity for agency and achievement, accomplishment and activity. And, at level 2, there's a bunch of virtues, right? Most people in their life are not choosing to activate their full will or their ingenuity or their intelligence, their intuition, their integrity towards a particular goal. But when one enters level 2 or starts living from level 2, one starts looking at life and saying, okay, well, I can make it so. How can I bring it about? What do I need to do to have it happen? And this is so much more powerful and helpful and empowering than the powerlessness, the disorientation, the lack of goal directedness of level 1. So in level 2, it's beautiful because we choose a goal and then we pursue it with all of what we are. Now, here's the tricky part. Not all of the goals that we set for ourselves were goals that are self-generated. So someone may want more money, or they may want, a beautiful car or something. It's okay to have that goal so long as that goal doesn't have you. How do we know when that goal has you? Well, when you haven't thoughtfully considered or questioned it, it's more often likely going to be the result of a blueprint, a cultural blueprint that we're domesticated into by preachers, teachers, family, friends, media, government, that has us think we or our lives should be in some way. And so we look at our lives and we compare it to some ideal future state. You see, level 1 is stuck in the past. Level 2 is it has the propensity to get stuck in the future. When someday, maybe, if I hustle and grind, struggle, stress, strain, push, fight, work, maybe then someday I'll get some way and then I'll be happy. Now, of course, this shows itself as limited and limiting, but each level has its growth and each level has its devil. So level 1, the growth is to escape into full responsibility for one's health, wealth, happiness, relationships, spiritual connection, leadership, purpose. Level 2 is the full activation of will and the realization that it's not trivial, and the extent to which I have relevant control over my life, and the extent to which I can shift or transform things. But if I'm building towards making my life, like forcing my life conditions to equal a blueprint that wasn't built by me and it wasn't built for me, well, I may get everything that's in that blueprint, the wife, the car, the job, the career, and I may not end up happy. So, you know, in level 2 at the very top, we might say that there's like you could break it down to 10 levels within each of these levels, depending on how empowered someone is. At the 10th level, level 2s, they are psychopathic mastermind millionaire and billionaire game players seeing all of life as chesses on a chessboard, seeking to move those chess pieces around so they can get what they think they need. And they're still operating out of trauma often, these people. Their mindset may be strong and hustle and grind, and they're a go-getter and they're achieving more than most people who we know. But they're doing it in order to get somewhere that they actually can't ever get. And they're trying to solve an internal problem with external solutions, external circumstances, external alterations of their life conditions. So when someone realizes this, the sort of bankruptcy of the cul-de-sac of level 2, what becomes available to that person is a waking up to the fact that, hey, if I burn my blueprint, if I let it go, then however things go can go well for me. And what I mean by that is um, I can take on the perspective that everything is happening for a reason and all things are working for good. And that, even the pain that I might have to experience as I go internal and feel into and feel through whatever might be causing me, an experience of inadequacy, of not good enough, not perfect, not belonging, whatever. It is part of my journey because we don't go to a film just to get a ticket, leave, and then come back for the final scene. We go to experience the whole journey. From level 3, which is journey orientation, we take life from that frame. We take life from that perspective that, hey, okay, my blueprint may say one thing, but let me let that go and realize that I'm here to be here now. I'm here to experience whatever is as it is, even if it's pain in my body, even if it's circumstances and situations that most might label as undesirable from their own blueprint. So, an example, well, I'll go back because I want to give you palpable examples for each of these. Level 2, I decided in 2016, um, I was going to create a six-figure coaching business. And I myself was the one who struggled, stress, strain, chased eviction notices off my door, spent $60,000 to suss out the code of marketing and sales and business development to bring in that kind of money. Around quarter four of 2020, I hired a business coach, a former German gangster turned philanthropist healer, and he helped me to create my first $12,000 month. By that point, however, I had pushed myself so hard that I had adrenal fatigue. I was burnt out. I was exhausted. I was exasperated. So, you know, will I say that it didn't do anything for me? No, I will say that it changed my sense of myself. It increased my felt capacity to achieve. It ushered me into a world and a realm of um, entrepreneurs and high performers that had me perceive that, lives beyond what is possible for what most perceive are like daily, like available. If you just take the right actions. And yeah, I see that. Cool. It's telling us how much is long left in the meeting. So let me speed up. Uh, Level 3 came for me in the realization that, oh, I did all this work. I fought to create this, and it sort of made me happier. But the human psyche always craves more, better, different. No matter what we get, just look at millionaires and billionaires, right? They went more, better, different than what they've already got, which is more than most people will ever get. So level 3 is the choice to remember, to remain present to the present of the present. That it's not there then, it's not someday maybe, it's here now. Now is when. When would now be a good time to accept and enjoy life as it is? Or whatever it is that you have in life, be content with what you have, rejoice in the way things are. If you realize that what you have is enough, then you are truly rich. This is the Tao Te Ching that I'm quoting. And, people can touch or experience hints or openings to level 3 without being grounded fully in that experience. They can take a psychedelic like 2CB or LSD or whatever and have moments of union and freedom from the incessant thinking. Another great quote from the Tao Te Ching: stop thinking and end all your problems. Because it's the thinking facet of us that compares what's going on around us with some idealized future where we fulfill some blueprint that will make things better than how they are now, where we will be better than we are now, where the pain that we're in now will be gone. And, again, it's okay to have level 2 so long as level 2 doesn't have you. To have level 2 means, okay, well, I can have this pain in my body or this situation in my digestion or this difficulty sleeping. And so long as I choose not to judge it, but to accept it and to value it as perfect, and I'm working to change it if it's something inconvenient or dysfunctional or um, disempowering to me, then I can choose to have faith that it'll all work out as a feature of my reality. I can hold level 2 from within level 3. Now, if someone grounds fully into level 3, they start walking around experiencing bliss, what Shinzen Young would call happiness independent of conditions in his work in the Science of Enlightenment, or what uh, the Dr. Jeffrey Martin would call fundamental well-being, capital FW, in his 45 Days to Awakening program. If somebody grounds fully into that, it can be great, but it can also leave someone in what's known as a peace prison, where they're so happy that they don't do anything anymore. This is one of the great dangers of taking the Tao Te Ching literally, is leading to a certain realm of pacifism, of being passive in relation to life. See, we can see level one as sort of toxic feminine. Woe is me, everything is bad and wrong. I need someone to save me. And then level two is the activation of the healthy masculine, but can become the toxic masculine, obsessive devotion to trying to fix, change, save, rescue, make things a certain way. And then level three, there's a similar arc where the opening to it can be very relieving to someone who's been operating from trauma and from programming, from domestication. You see, as I said, we're domesticated by preachers, teachers, family, friends, media, and government into following certain paths, thinking certain things, wanting certain things. And this domestication compounds the sort of wanderlust in human nature, the betrayal of the moment. And so freeing ourselves to be with what is as it is, yes, that's great. But if you look around, you'll see that not everybody has that awareness. Not everybody is awake to that. Not everybody is available to receive that gift or perceive the present that the present is. So then, if we allow ourselves to go all the way to level 10 of level three, it sounds like a video game now. Um, we wake up to the realization that there is no distinction on one level between us and everyone about us, everyone around us, everyone else, quote unquote. We are all one. And when I win and I open myself to contributing to others, others win and I win bigger. You see, we have a Wernicke-Broca loop in the brain that produces and understands speech. It's not built for internal monologues. It's built for communicating with others. We have areas of our brain that process facial expression, tone of voice, and body language. And when we allow ourselves to be who we truly are, we perceive others matter in a way that we cannot erase, we cannot destroy, we cannot ignore. We can pretend it's not there. We can get isolated and alienated with our screens and our dopamine dreams through, programming by social media or easy access to stimulation and novelty and variety through the internet. We can become really atomic, isolated, alienated individuals. But when I think we are most alive is when we're both in action and in communication and in connection as a contribution. What is a contribution? Well, we're giving not to get, but we're giving to give because we get to give, because we are a gift, because there's nowhere to go but up and out once we've overflowed from and through grounding ourselves fully in the bliss that we're meant to experience, the bliss that is what this is all about. You see, if somebody's giving to you with hooks, trying to get something from you, you can feel that on a subconscious level. And even if they win, even if they give you the thing and then they get the significance, they get the hit of attention from giving, all you've done is made your ego more dependent and their ego bigger and more dependent on yours and the external world. So this is one of the problems at level two. And so for me, level three, I got there in meditation after Qigong yesterday. There was nothing I wanted to do. There was nowhere I wanted to be than where I was. And I was free to enjoy and rest content in that. And then level four, well, okay, ideally we filled up on bliss before we give to other people because we're not looking to get anything from them. We're looking just to overflow who and how we are into the world. Level four is where we start to ask the question, who and what am I here for? How can I serve? How can I give? Beyond just using the world as a wishbone, which is one of the problems in level three. You get spiritual people who start to play through the law of attraction, asking it is given, and think that the world is just their wishbone. No, part of it is, pursue your dreams, follow your bliss. But look at how many people are dying and suffering and hungry and abused and dysfunctional, right? You look around and you see people in cages of their own making, and they don't realize that the cage is open and that all they have to do is walk free. But it's up to those who hear this and understand this and appreciate this to support others in waking up to the fact that we're all one and everything's perfect. And As one of my spiritual teachers used to say, love is the only thing that is real. And everything that we experience is love loving us, even pain, even suffering, even frustration. It is waking us up to greater love, greater capacity to give. So then level 4, you get people like Jesus Christ and Buddha and Martin Luther King and Gandhi. Uncontroversially, it looks from the outside. And ideally, we'd be able to engage with data and self-reports to distinguish, all right, where are they really coming from? Because somebody can look like they're coming from level 4. They can use all the language when in fact, they're actually still from level 2. They've just got cleverer. The ego is cunning, baffling, creative, infinitely elegant, and infinitely agile and powerful in adopting new strategies and tools and frames and dialects in order to expand itself and gain greater power over others. And so, one of the things that can happen at level 4 is what we call transformation for evil, where the ego gets a hold of tools and training and transformational conversations and starts using it subtly to push people around, to do business as usual, to defend, protect, control, dominate, manipulate. And this is the purview of cult leaders and politicians. I'm here so that we can build back better. I'm here so that we can do more and have a better life and a better country, when in fact they just wanted the power, they just wanted the authority, they just wanted to serve their lobbyists and special interest groups in getting more of what they wanted so that they can have a bigger, better, stronger ego, right? So that's the tricky part about level 4, is the ghost and the shadow of it. Truly, being at level 4 means, and I'll tell you a story. Earlier this in the past decade, I had a moment where I was close to broke, and I didn't know what I was going to do to make the money for rent the next week. As an entrepreneur, it can sometimes be like this, ups and downs. And I ended up making an offer to people at the end of one of my relationship coaching courses, and they were all broke. None of them was able to take the offer or willing or available in that moment. And I tuned into my intuition, and my intuition said, gift them this course to expand their wealth and abundance capacity. Money Magic Alignment. It was a $500 recorded course, and I was going to provide accountability around that over the course of 7 weeks. So I charge $1,000 an hour. It quickly escalates the amount of coaching that I was then being instructed by my intuition to offer them for free. And so I gifted them all this coaching, and I said, all right, God, I don't know how that solves my problem, but I've done what I'm been told. So I was living from unconditional giving. You see, we always reap what we sow. We don't always reap it when, where, with whom we sow it. And if we can learn to practice giving when someone in front of us can benefit from what we've got, even if they can't reciprocate, even if they can't pay or invest, right? And I do my best to live this way, from this attitude and this orientation of value orientation in level 4, then we'll always be provided for. We'll always receive. So the very next day, a dear friend of mine called me to say, hey, you are entitled to $2,500 of money that's been sitting in a bank account earmarked for you. And that was exactly what I needed to cover my expenses and pay my bills. And so I took that as a sign. Yeah, I have the favor of God. I'm entrusted with the stewardship of resources because I'm here to serve the greater whole. And that example, it illustrates level 4, but it also illustrates level 5, which we'll complete with. So level 4 turns into level 5 when you realize, okay, well, me with my little mind, my little pea brain, my little ego does not know how to make best use of me, the resource and asset that I am, in service to all of humanity. I may calculate, I may contextualize, I may try to figure out, I may try to create some idea of that and then pursue that. And I may produce some value from that for people. And that's definitely better than not doing that. Just imagine if the whole world chose to do that. We'd be better off if everybody said, all right, let me seek and strive not just to survive, but to thrive and to support everyone else in thriving for being a contribution, an unconditional gift of service to others. Yeah, we'd be great. And level 4 is the last sort of uncontroversial level, right? Some people argue for it, some people argue against it, but most people will accept, like, yeah, we'd have a better world if we all just sought to be of service as our highest choice, as our highest goal and orientation. And level 5 asks the question, well, what if there's a higher perspective, a better perspective that can give me a better way to be, a better choice to make than just whatever happens to be in front of me? And I hang out with 8-figure mentors, people who are multimillionaires, built self-sustainable off-grid villages and business empires. And they are practitioners of level 5. And I'll say uncontroversially, even for my one moment and my one story of following my intuition and its indications for how to be, that, grounding myself into level 5 has been difficult. It's been really challenging. It's taken digging deep into and removing the depth of trauma and pain so that I can feel safe enough to trust that voice. That voice, even if it tells me to do things that make no sense to me. And, there's even in the mental health crowd, they might argue, well, level 5 leaves you liable to schizophrenia or voices in your head or whatever. Like, it does. It absolutely does. There's 100,000 different spiritual traditions. There's 50,000 different interpretations just of Christian scripture. So which do we choose? Well, it's a casino where we've got to gamble. And which direction should we go to make sense of and provide greater context for the operation of that love that we are, that contribution that we feel inspired to be in our intuition? Well, I can't say. I can't say. I can say that the mentors that I hang out with and follow, they're Christians, and they produce better results than most people in the spiritual community and most entrepreneurs who I know in terms of fruit and outcomes. And so I'm like, all right, I want more of whatever they're peddling, whatever they're pointing to. And I can feel the love and compassion that they've chosen to devote and dote on me as a giver to humanity, someone who's committed to helping humanity thrive. But when you're in level 5, you ask the question of, if I'm in the picture, you can't see the picture while you're inside of it. Maybe there's an infinite intelligence, an intuition, a God, a guidance system that can grant me the grace and perception of where to go next, of what to do next, of what to do best, that can actually see the inside and the experience of all of humanity and can perceive, because no one can perceive 9 billion people's experience in their highest and best unique choice. It's simply too chaotic and too complex a calculation. Even an AI, it would take a lot to measure the lifeline and the unique and specific health of each and every individual on the planet. I mean, I have friends who are oriented towards potentially developing chatbots and AIs that mimic their mastery over health so that some individual with unique access to that bot could begin to do that calculation for themselves through a life history or whatever. But I think it's obvious. Even if we had that, still not all members of humanity would be plugged into it or have access to it. So, like, why not resort to infinite intelligence? This thing that keeps having things work out better and grander and easier than what we can on our own. In the examples of the stories that I've been exposed to, and they are legion, dozens, if not hundreds of stories and personal experiences now that I could amass in a book and a whole nother podcast to point to, okay, there's something going on here. I don't know what it means. I don't know how to interpret it. I don't know whose perceptions or perspective or frame on it is the accurate, ultimate, perfect one. But I do know that walking in this direction is worthwhile. And just to finally conclude and put a bow on it, level 4 is where we say, all right, what am I here for? Purpose is a direction, not a destination. I think we're here to serve each other at the very least. And then level 5 is, how can I be used for a purpose that is greater than I can conceive and become a force of nature in the hands of a being or a guidance system that can make best use of me. So, in terms of mind over matter, to bring it all the way back, this is a lot of mind, but it helps us to matter more. And I think the more we step up and, grow through these different levels of consciousness, the more we matter in our own experience and the more we matter to the world and the more we matter cosmically. So I'll just say if anybody wants to find more like this or find more of me, I'm Louis Brantmeyer on TikTok. There are no others with that name. You can go to louisbrantmeyer.com, or I put out a lot more content on Facebook. And I'd be happy to gift you some of my time and attention just for listening. If you're intrigued about activating this system of the 5 levels of consciousness for yourself in your own life, I won't take full credit for this. It was originally conceived by my dear friend Jonathan England, who's one of those mentors that I mentioned in his book, If I Die Before I Wake. And I apply it to relationships, I apply it to business so that people can have money and and dates and love with meaning, maximizing their meaning, maximizing their fulfillment, and having everything go easier and better for them. So it's been a pleasure. Again, I'm Louis Brandmeyer. Thanks for having me, my friend. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Luz. That was amazing. And listeners, before we close, here's a simple reflection you can try this week. Ask yourself, from which level am I responding right now? Fear, habit, responsibility, or love? No judgment, just awareness. Awareness is what allows growth to unfold naturally. And if today's episode gave language to your inner growth or helped you understand your relationship and choices more clearly, consider sharing it with someone who's consciously evolving but still finding their footing. And if Mind Over Matter supports your journey, leave a review. Helps these conversations reach others who are ready to grow with intention. Spiritual maturity isn't about rising above life. It's about meeting life with clarity, compassion, and choice. Thank you for being here. I'm Anya, and this has been Mind Over Matter. Stay aware, stay open, and let your growth unfold, one level at a time.